I'd like to call to
Recording in progress.
Sorry. Of the Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners, all commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner Napper, who is excused. The board did meet in executive session to discuss matters of personnel and real estate. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence, and I would ask to lead the pledge, the new Commissioner, Latasha Williams.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome all. Welcome to the zoning hearing board members and attendants. Good to see you. Okay, we'll begin with petitions, complaints, suggestions from citizens. Does anybody wish to address the board tonight? Seeing none? No. Ms. Core, would you please approach? Please state for the record your name. And try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. As we...
I'll be brief. Is this on?
Yes.
Okay. Beryl Core, and I'll just be very brief. I just came to tell you how much I enjoy serving on the zoning board, and I really appreciate you are reappointing me tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. It's thankless work sometimes, but we really appreciate
Thanks.
being done.
Long hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Just to clear, Mike, didn't we appoint Beryl last month?
We did,
Oh, you
So-
did?
Never mind, she
So,
said.
because if we had a zoning hearing board meeting, last week, we wouldn't have been able to appoint you this, so we did zoning hearing board at the end of the.
Because originally it was supposed to be tonight.
It was supposed to be, but because the zoning hearing board meeting preceded our meeting,
Right.
we would miss the appointment, so we moved it up.
Yeah, so zoning
That's
hearing
the
board
only one
usually
we
gets
moved up by a
appointed,
month.
reappointed,
We were so anxious to get you back and lock you down.
We snuck it in on you, Beryl.
If I had known, I would have been here then.
It's probably important, Mr. President, to tell her that we appointed her for a 10-year term.
It's not a term, it's a
Since
sentence.
she
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to thank the board for an appointment?
Yes, Mr.
Mr. Greenlee? No. All right. Anybody else? Hearing none. Move on to the approval of minutes from our December 8th, 2022 Board of Commissioners regular meeting.
Mr. President, I'll move to approve the minutes. I will note on page 6, one handwritten change correction that is correct, so I just want to note that the word recyclable should be trash. Otherwise, I'll move to approve. I mean, it's correct as is with the handwritten change.
All right. Is there a second? Commissioner Felo, no. And you did, I saw by email, relay that to Kathy. So you're good, Kathy? Okay. All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reports of committees, buildings and grounds, Commissioner Rothrock.
Thank you, Mr. President. Regarding the, I have it written down here. Regarding the renovation of the administration building, I'm happy to report that the dumpster and porta potty are gone from the parking lot. The fencing is to come down this weekend, and the generator, which we're expecting to be installed, should be here in March. And I don't know if our township manager has any other information to add to that.
Thank you, Commissioner. I was attempting to reach the contractor today, but I didn't hear back from him, so I don't have anything further to add with regard to the punch list items. There is some work that remains to be done to the exterior facade of the building, and we have a few touch-up things that have to be done internally to the facility, as well as working out some of the bugs that remain with respect to the AV enhancements. So more to come on that. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. And more to come on the lighting for out front later in the agenda.
Okay.
Yep. Budget and Finance, Commissioner Pine?
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Public Works, Commissioner Napper's not here. Do you have anything, Mr. Hisserow?
No report.
Thank you. Mr. Provolka, do you have anything on Public Works?
No, sir.
All right. Health and Sanitation, Commissioner Rubarchak.
Just to report that Penn Waste will be conducting the election for the Christmas trees Saturday the 14th and the 21st. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Admin and Personnel, Commissioner Engel?
No report.
Okay, do you have anything on that front, Dave?
No, sir.
Police, Commissioner Engel.
I have no report, but I do have something I'd like to share with the public, and that is last year we had a number of thefts from vehicles in the township as well as thefts of vehicles in the township. And what I'm told is that in every case, vehicles were left unlocked, and in many cases, the key fobs were left in the automobiles. So please, get into the habit of locking your cars, take your keys with you, not only when you're parked in the township, but anywhere you go. It's a good habit to get into. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Fire. Commissioner Hensworth.
I will just comment, we will be meeting there this month.
All right, thank you. Recreation, Commissioner Polona.
I do. Mr. President, the Recreation Advisory Committee met last night, and it's the first meeting for the year. Among other things that we discussed, the proposals for development are bicycle and pedestrian master plan, and along with the staff recommendation, approved the selection of Campbell Thomas, and it will be in the first item in the business agreements section of the meeting. Also, we're going to kick off the Wedgwood Hills Park master planning on the 24th, and we're still trying to complete the steering committee, but we will get there. And lastly, the RAC also approved the bid to bid the project to make the Edgemont Park ADA compliant. That'll be all.
All right, thank you. Planning and Zoning, Commissioner Rothrock.
I have no report. Both the Planning Commission meeting and the January Zoning Hearing Board meeting were canceled.
All right, thank you. Next, under bids and agreements, we are considering a contract for consulting services to develop the aforementioned Susquehanna Township bicycle pedestrian plan. Mr. Canales.
Thank you, Mr. President, and the board. There's actually two contracts within this item. The first would be the execution of the Harrisburg Area Transit System HATS grant. That contract to accept the $30,000 grant that we were awarded from them, that Mac Breach, our zoning officer, and Betsy Logan, assistant manager, worked on and secured. And then the other would be to award Campbell Thomas and Company out of Philadelphia to work with the township to prepare our township-wide bicycle, pedestrian, and greenway plan. They also have sub-consultants of HRG, and then also a company called Connect the Dots. The Connect the Dots company is a disadvantaged business enterprise, which is also a requirement, part of the HATS program, or HATS grant. And last night at our Recreation Advisory Committee meeting, the committee did recommend the approval, or recommend to you the approval for Campbell Thomas to perform the planning process for us.
Okay, there's a description. Is there?
Yeah, I would like to make the motion to approve with the caveat or comment, and let me know if we need to do this differently, but in the second agreement with Campbell Thomas, there's an Appendix A non-discrimination clause, paragraph 1, and we had a similar issue last month, and we had agreed and amended the contract, to add additional language in the first paragraph where it says no by reason of gender, race, creed, or color. We had previously agreed last month on a separate contract, a different contract, based on race, color, religion, creed, gender, age, national origin, disability, marital status, veteran status, gender identity, or gender expression. And my understanding is that Doug has spoken to the company and they're amendable to making that change, even though they've already signed with the other languages. Correct me, Doug, if...
That is correct, and I do have a signed appendix as well for that, with that language.
In our copy tonight, though, we have the old language. I just want to, in making that motion, include that language so that it's clear, it'll be in the minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Just as a point of clarity, HATS, Harrisburg area, it actually stands for Transportation Study.
No,
Just a small typo.
my apologies.
Not at all. Next up is the approval of the 2023 Domestic Animal Protective Services Agreement with the Humane Society of Harrisburg area. Mr. Public Safety Director.
Commissioners, as you know, we find dogs, cats, seize them, rescue them, but we only have temporary shelter here. So this is an annual service agreement that that we have with the Humane Society of Harrisburg, that's where we take the animals that we collect, seize, rescue, and whether on weekends or during the week, we have them in our temporary shelters, and they come here and they get the dogs and cats and so forth. So this is an annual thing.
Mr. President,
Commissioner.
I would move to approve the 2023 Municipal Domestic Animal Protective Services Agreement with the Humane Society of Harrisburg area.
Second. Thank you. Moved by Commissioner Barczak, seconded by Commissioner Engel. Any discussion? Carl?
I'm okay with it.
Minuteman? No. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the award of contract for exterior lighting LED conversion at the Susquehanna Township Municipal Building right out front.
Thank you,
Mr. Provoca.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excuse me. I was expecting a representative from the company Bottom Line Systems that submitted the proposal, but I just got a text that he was unable to join. But provided with your agenda is a proposal from Bottom Line Systems to convert all of our exterior lighting that is currently high-pressure sodium into LED technology. It's a more energy efficient and environmentally friendly kind of lighting. So these would be our parking lot lights, the exterior lighting in the front of the building as well as the side of the building. There is a projected return on investment that is between 3 and 4 years. Due to the efficiency of the lighting standard, the total cost of the project is $9,967.30. That's inclusive of a pass-through rebate that'll be provided immediately to the township, and then there's also what they call a downstream rebate that will realize subsequent to the installation from the utility provider. Now that is dependent on how it is affected by our solar power purchasing agreement, so that rebate number may be adjusted slightly when that is all resolved. However, staff is recommending approval this evening. We feel that the return on the investment is substantial. These light standards will last between 25 and 30 years before they go from 100% efficiency to 70% efficiency. So it really is a much more efficient lighting standard than what's currently out there, out in the parking lot and on the exterior of the building. If there's any questions, I can answer them to the best of my knowledge. I may have to follow up with our consultant with Bottom Line Systems if there's anything outside of my area of expertise. But again, we're recommending approval this evening. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
considering the 4-year payback, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this contract to Bottom Line Systems.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. How long till they get installed?
It really ought to be a very short process when they can mobilize. We were given a time frame of less than 2 weeks from when they're here to when they install.
Good.
And that's largely dependent on their workload. It may be even sooner.
Excellent. Very good. Okay, and we have no ordinances or resolution subdivisions. Going into reports, Township Manager, do you have anything to report?
My report is in your packet, just noteworthy to emphasize that the Township Authority has approved an engagement with the National League of Cities Service Line Warranty Program. It's a partnership with HomeServe, whereby ratepayers in the township's sanitary sewer system could enroll in essentially an insurance policy, fairly low-cost monthly premium, to provide coverage for their service laterals and building sewers in the event of any failures there. So particularly in some of the areas, as Commissioner Barczyk knows, in the First Ward and Uptown, where we've been experiencing some problems there, that may be something that those residents are interested in purchasing. There's going to be some material that is produced by the HomeServe Warranty Program on Township Authority letterhead that goes out to all of our residents in the coming weeks to provide some more information on this program. That's all I have to report. Thank you.
Can I ask, do you have a range of what the cost would be? From what I've seen in the past, they usually get paid like quarterly. It's usually $20 or less. I mean, I assume it's going to be something low cost like that.
I do have those figures. It's approximately $10 a month for their basic warranty package.
Okay.
Do you need any action from us? I know the authority has taken it up.
No actions required. I just wanted to provide it for informational purposes at this time.
Probably be a good thing to put in the newsletter, unless it's
It's a little too late for this one. but-
too late.
We are going to be getting it in the next edition of the newsletter. Yes, sir.
I do have a follow-up. I forgot about the letter being on the back side, because I know I read it somewhere. In the letter, it talks about water and sewer lines. So are water lines, when you said like $10 a month, is it both types of lines, the water and sewage? Or just,
I think the water lines are covered separately through contracts with those entities. For instance, I've gotten letters from, not CRW, but the other water supplier,
Veolia.
Veolia.
Suez.
well, they do something similar like I had with HomeServe before it was, like 2 or 3 water companies ago. I still have,
Suez.
Well, it's not even Suez anymore, but it was even before that. But I would assume I'd have the option of canceling it and going with his if it's a better deal, especially if it included both types of lines as one package. It's a contractual relationship. I mean, I have one now, like I said, with my water line only through the water company that had, it used to be HomeServe. I'm not sure if it's still HomeServe. But that's what I'm trying to get clarification. Is there going to be both lines included, or is that an option? Or is it just the sewage?
Right, so there are optional endorsements and additional coverage for this particular program. It would only be what the authority is obligating the property owners to be responsible for. So it would only be for the sanitary sewer lines.
Oh, okay. I wanted, just because of the letter confused me a little bit.
But
or at least raised an issue in my mind.
Sure, it's a great question. And there are enhancements that property owners could purchase if they so chose. One of those would be coverage for the fixtures that are inside the home as well. So they will have those options, and it'll all be described in a letter that goes out to them hopefully in the coming weeks.
Probably just to make sure that residents are not confused. Just make clear that it is only for sewer, whatever communication they receive.
Okay. Anything else, Dave?
No, sir.
All right. Public safety, police, chief, did you have anything? Or you want to go to the next one? Okay. Economic development, Betsy?
You have my report in front of you. I just want to highlight a couple of things that we did this year. We had over 16 land development plans that were processed, as well as 9 hearings for the zoning hearing board. We issued 1,853 permits, building permits, along with 139 zoning permits and another 167 street cut permits. So we have really high numbers this year. And overall, just to give credit to Joe, because he's worked really hard, he had 1,711 inspections this year, so he's averaging about 8.5 inspections per day. So a lot of stuff going on this year.
Yeah.
Just want to highlight that. Thank you.
Thank you. Engineering, anything?
You all should have a copy of my report. 2 items of note, the Boyd Park Phase 2 rebid and the Paxton Church Road Rehabilitation Project are both going to be advertised here shortly for bidding. Additionally, the pavement management plan is being updated to reflect the roads not included in the current plan.
For Paxton Church, did we clear up the PPNL issue?
They finally got communication back from PPNL. It was after my report, so apparently that's good to go and moving forward. Yeah.
So when do we, after the contract comes back, when do we anticipate construction start?
The spring 2023, so if you picture 60 days through bidding and the subsequent paperwork, about that time.
Thanks.
If I may, that's a stormwater project, correct? Paxton Church?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you're looking at a spring construction start at this stage?
Correct. It's the road rehabilitation, there's some stormwater, and then some bank stabilization as well.
Okay, and just one other, on the last one, the Maple Shade Drive, is another stormwater. It just said here, construction scheduled to begin early January 2023. Is that, has it started?
It started currently. They're on site beginning last week. Construction started Monday.
Oh, that's good, thanks.
Alex, I had a question about the Boyd Park. I noticed that there's consideration being given to lighting at the pavilion and the parking lot. Is that included in the bid you're working on now?
Yeah, so that was a concern of Chief Martin. There was apparently some police activity that took place at the park. So based on his recommendation, we explored the possibility of adding electrical service and lighting to the park. We contacted PPNL. The time frame to where we could get a service design it didn't really align with this getting out to bid in coordination with the grant funding. So we're going to bid this without that, coordinate the PPL design for the service, and then either bid that electrical project out separately, or if we're lucky enough that it falls under the bidding threshold, get quotes when we get PPL's design.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's really dark there.
Sure.
It is. So I could see why it would attract some nefarious activity.
Yep.
Especially they leave their keys in the car.
Yeah, don't lose keys.
All right. Thanks for that report. Solicitor, do you have anything?
Law Bureau has nothing.
Thank you. School Board, Commissioner Pine?
Yes, Mr. President, second here. I just want to report that the school board is expected to consider a LERTA on their agenda at the next meeting, and I think it's going to be in the First Ward property. Don't have any, specifics other than they will be considering a LERTA proposal. The specifics are to be determined, I assume. In addition, the school district had independent auditor Boyer and Ritter completing their audit for the last year. There was all good, no problems with the financial statements, or as my doctor likes to say, unremarkable. That's about it.
Your doctor called you unremarkable.
No, my
Okay.
test results, which is good. That's a good thing.
What you
All clear.
Thank you very much. I thought it was remarkable. Authority, Commissioner, or Mr. Proboka. Anything to report?
The Authority Board met on January 3rd. The budget was approved for 2023 for both sanitary sewer as well as stormwater, and rates were set. They were increased this year by about 7%. So really largely to accommodate for the additional fees being passed on to the Authority ratepayers from Capital Region Water for their treatment of the sanitary sewer conveyance to that system. Other than that, the staff is finalizing a draft sanitary sewer lateral replacement policy. This kind of dovetails with what I noted in my report a moment ago. It'll provide some standards that we'll put in place for residents who are requesting the Township Authority provide some financial support for failures of their service lines when the service line was the origin of the failure. So much more to come on that. I do, if I may, want to correct a comment I made in my report with respect to the service line warranty program. I'm looking at their menu of services now, and there is an external water service line plan that can be offered with their services. So Commissioner Hisro, I apologize for misspeaking. It's that's going to go out in the letter as well. Other than that, I have nothing further to add unless there's questions.
Thank you.
Maybe not a question, but a quick comment about the authority. I had a couple calls related to billing problems with what people thought was the authority. Well, the problem wasn't with the authority, but I've learned, through staff that there was a serious problem with the post office in which quite a number of payments were misplaced for the period of probably a month or more by the post office, and people ended up getting billed, and being charged, for a late fee and so forth. But it turned out that the authority was able to correct that. So, thank you.
Yes, absolutely, and all credit goes to the finance director and her team because they were really diligent in responding to residents' concerns and taking care of the fees and the like. So,
thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Shade Tree, Commissioner Pine.
Mr. President, nothing special other than to say that the shade tree planting occurs in October, but the deadline for that, as noted in the previous newsletter of the township, is May 1st. A copy of the application to apply for a free tree is actually in the last newsletter too. So I would remind residents that if they want to get a tree planted in October, please, reach into your previous township newsletter and make sure you fill it out and apply by May 1. Thank you.
Thank you. You have something?
No.
Communications, Commissioner Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The winter spring edition of our newsletter is scheduled to be disseminated on January 23rd. And that's all I have for my report.
All right. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Human Relations and Parks and Rec, I think we're covered there. We have reports. I skipped over Public Works. Do you have anything back there?
I do not, sir.
All right, thank you. Traffic study results, Crooked Hill Road. Chief? Please.
Yes, Commissioners, a couple months ago, we had some citizens in here express concerns over a portion of Crooked Hill Road, essentially running from Rockfall Road north to Deer Path Road. So, as I stated that night, we did a traffic study. There have been 2 serious accidents on this roadway of recent history. Interesting data here. Our ATS board collected data indicating there's 1,500 vehicles a day, and there was 9,000 vehicles in a 6-day period. There's been a lot of development back in there, and I think it's evidenced with this traffic flow. So the study recommends a speed cushion to be installed between 4512 and 4513 Crooked Hill Road, and I concur with this recommendation, and I note that there's also an appreciable amount of pedestrian traffic along that stretch of Crooked Hill Road. and specifically school-age children transiting to and from school.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
I move that we follow the chief's recommendation and install a speed cushion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments or questions?
I may, just worth noting that because the asphalt plants are currently closed, it's going to be a little bit till they open back up and they get installed.
I just want to say thank you, Chief, for looking into that. We didn't make a big deal out of it, and you took care of it, so appreciate it.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business, consent agenda. We have a handful of items. Approval of the 2023 salary wage listing for all employees. Next, acceptance of repository bid for Highland Avenue. Next is conditional offer of employment to Luke Bellick. It's for park maintenance. 2023 authorities, boards, and commission meeting schedule proposal, which needs to be advertised. Financial security reduction for Susquehanna Union Green in the amount of $490,026. Statement of bills paid, and finally, appointments to authorities, boards, and commissions. All the paperwork connected with those items are in your packets. And after a motion and a second are made and accepted, feel free to discuss any one of those items that you wish to discuss. So is there a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments, questions, observations?
I had a question about the repository bid. I didn't quite understand what that was. I was going to look up that parcel number and see what it looked like, but I didn't do that.
So a repository bid is typically, at least the ones that I've done here, are residential properties where the share of sales and other attempts to clear the properties are unsuccessful. And this is kind of the final effort to get get the property transferred and any of the liens cleared. So there is some relinquishing of some of the liens that are owed to the township, which is why you are asked to formally approve it. However, it's worth noting that these are properties that have already kind of been foreclosed, and there's not a very good likelihood that we would recuperate that money anyway. So this gets it back on the tax roll with hopefully a responsible bidder that will then start to realize timely payment of real estate taxes, and hopefully we'll rehab that property and bring it up to good operation. And that's my understanding of it, but perhaps.
That's the best explanation.
Okay.
It's a holding bid.
So it's not, I noticed it was $1,100, $1,111 or something. And that's not a purchase price of the property, that's a payment to the township, sort of make up for unpaid taxes and clearing the slate, is that it?
A portion of it, right. So we would get a prorated share depending on what is owed to the other agencies.
Okay.
So cents, it can be cents on the dollar, but it's still something that then
Okay.
off we go.
I had not ever seen that before, so thank you for explaining.
And this property is over by the former Edgemont Fire Company on Island.
The
Green Street?
It's Highland Avenue.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
probably-
that's his address,
Yeah.
of the buyer.
You know that parcel.
Yeah.
Closer to Ashland.
Highland Avenue,
It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
that's right.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on the consent items? Okay, hearing none. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Next up is from Ms. Logan, and it's a draft ordinance amendment.
Thank you. You have a redlining amendment before you for Chapter 1, Administration and Government, Part 2, Attorney Fees, Section 1-1104, Schedule of Reasonable Attorney Fees. The purpose of this amendment is to remove the placement of fees from the Code of Ordinances so that it can be set by the fee schedule, which is adopted annually by the board. We are asking you to review the amendment tonight and we are requesting that you authorize advertisement of a public hearing on Thursday, January 23rd, 2023. February.
And can you briefly explain what the purpose is?
Sure. So the main issue is that the way that the ordinance was written is that it specifies several different methods of the reasonable attorney fees for like enforcing a lien, that type of thing that can be charged. It would be easier, so we don't have to amend this, so that it's in the fee schedule, which would be part of that, public hearing process. And then there's just some clarifying language in a couple other sections.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second. The only thing I will note, though, is that some would argue that there's a disconnect between the word reasonable and attorney fees.
Commissioner Disser.
I'm here.
Allow me to respond. What this does do, however, Betsy is exactly right. It does allow you to take an ordinance passed in 2005 and recover by passing a fee schedule a greater portion of the costs that it costs you to lien a property. And as you know, we don't lien a property unless we've exhausted every possible opportunity to get something done. So at that point, it's kind of a self-imposed harm on that property owner.
All right. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner comments. Does anybody wish to comment tonight? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Let's talk about this. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and we are out of here. Good night.